Indianapolis learns another mass shooting has begun.
They have an active shooter currently at FedEx.
The city's third in 3 months. He shoots and kills 4, heads inside, kills 4 more, and turns the gun on himself. Police have named the killer Brandon Scott Hull, 19.
Mr. Hull was a former employee at the facility.
President Biden held his first in-person leaders meeting with Japan's Prime Minister, but with the White House flag lowered, his strongest comments,
"This has to end. It's a national embarrassment,"
were on the American sickness, gun violence.
Who in God's name needs a weapon that can hold 100 rounds?
The U.S. Theodore Roosevelt strike group returns to the South China Sea for a second time this year. The U.S. 7th Fleet says the visit is part of its routine operations. But regional tensions are flaring because of China's reclamation of many areas and its use of maritime militia to enforce its illegal claims in the South China Sea. The U.S. considers the Philippines one of its strongest allies in the region, and these so-called Balikatan exercises allow both countries to conduct joint military and humanitarian exercises.
After its cancellation,
they resumed this week after being cancelled last year because of the pandemic.
Heavy fighting near the Yemeni city of Marib has killed 96 combatants over the past 2 days as the Houthi rebels have stepped up their offensive on the government's last northern toehold. The Iran-backed Shiite rebels rarely disclose their own losses. Meanwhile, aircraft of a military coalition led by Saudi Arabia provided air support to government ground forces. One government military source told AFP, and I quote, "Clashes between the two sides on several fronts in the Marib area on Wednesday and Thursday killed 36 loyalists, troops and 60 rebels," unquote. The deadly Houthi advance has been steady. The rebels are now closing in on the city, even as the death toll due to the fighting has neared 100 over the last 2 days. Another loyalist military official said, and I quote, "The Houthis are keeping up their slow advance on Marib and now constitute a very real threat."
Six decades of Castro rule in Cuba have come to an end. In a speech at the 8th Congress of the ruling Communist Party, Raul Castro resigned as the party's leader, handing over the reins to a new generation. Raul, the younger brother of Fidel Castro, did not confirm who will replace him, but many expect him to hand the top job to his protege, Miguel Díaz-Canel, who succeeded him as president in 2018. Díaz-Canel would be the first civilian leader since the 1959 revolution. He has called for continuity and consolidation, reassuring these Cubans.
Russia has stoked fears about a looming conflict with Ukraine after pictures emerged of military vehicles decorated with invasion stripes. Amid claims Vladimir Putin has now deployed more than 100,000 troops close to the border. And Ukraine's foreign minister has claimed Russia is planning to move nuclear weapons to Crimea, the peninsula which it annexed in 2014. The footage was uploaded to social media by an observer in Russia's Astrakhan region, located 350 miles from the country's western border with its neighbor. The clip shows a column of BTR-80 armored personnel carriers, each with a white cross painted across the top. During the Cold War, Russian soldiers would paint similar crosses on their tanks and other material in order to distinguish them from those of their opponents, who were also equipped with Soviet-made machinery.
Ministers of Greece and Turkey traded barbs openly during a press conference in Ankara. They got swept up in a war of words on a wide range of issues during a volatile press conference at the end of their first meeting in over a year. Turkish Foreign Minister and his Greek counterpart met in Ankara in an effort to smooth over months of tensions between the two NATO allies. The two were expected to iron out issues over maritime boundaries that brought the two nations to the brink of war last year. While the meeting began cordially, both the foreign ministers soon started quarreling openly after questions were raised of Greek sovereignty, and Turkey warned that that may be met by sanctions.
The White House was on the defensive Friday after President Biden signed an order to keep the U.S. refugee cap at a historically low 15,000, opting against raising it to 62,500, a number he had been considering for 2 months. The decision was a blow to refugee advocates who had wanted Biden to move swiftly to reverse the policies of his Republican predecessor Donald Trump, who had set the 15,000 cap as a way to limit immigration.
It's official. From the 1st of July, if you don't comply with the rules of the road, you will get penalty points. It's part of the new points demerit system. Repeat offenders could have their licenses suspended for up to 3 months.
Well, as you have already indicated, that we have piloted outdoor in the two jurisdictions, which is Tshwane and Joburg. And we can safely indicate that, well, we are ready now for the national rollout. And the key aspects in terms of what we've been doing around the two cities has been to say how do all the elements of the Act affect the road users.
Hashtag social media ban in Pakistan has been a trending subject throughout the day. Earlier on Friday, the country's Interior Ministry confirmed in a statement that they would be temporarily restricting access to all social media platforms for a number of hours. This affected Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp, TikTok and Telegram. And in the statement, the ministry only said that it was in order to maintain public order and safety without going into further details. But this order came just one day after, in Pakistan, the French embassy advised its citizens and French companies to leave the country because they said there were serious threats to French interests. For a number of days now in Pakistan, in some of the country's largest cities, we have seen anti-French demonstrations being taken place, these which have been instigated by one of the largest radical Islamist parties in the country of Pakistan.
This woman says she woke up to a strange scene in her driveway. Not only were the tires of her vehicle slashed, but lying next to one of them was a severed finger. Francesca Wickoff is a former volunteer firefighter and EMT, so she wasn't too grossed out by the sight of a bloody appendage. She seems to have found humor in the ordeal.
You would think if you're gonna go to the hospital, especially if you just sever your finger off, that you would take said finger with you.
So what happened? According to Francesca, she got into a fight with a neighbor the day before. She believes that he cut off his finger while in the act of vandalizing her car. She says a trail of blood goes from her driveway to his house. Police are investigating the incident and no one has been arrested or charged with any crime.